This is Patrick Russell. I'm interviewing Frank Fanggoni. This interview is taking place in Webster, Massachusetts on November the 13th, 2015. This interview is being conducted by the Making History Project. You were telling me earlier about your family. Why don't you tell me a little bit more now?
Well, I come from, we had 11 in our family, 6 girls and 5 boys, and my mother and father came here in 1903, I believe, 1902 or 1903. They first lived in New York, and from New York they went to Hartford, Connecticut. And most of us were born in Webster here. Been here since 19, maybe 15 or 16, you know. They're mostly born in Webster, most of my family. And I'm next to the youngest. I have one younger brother, 5 boys and 6 girls in the family. And it was tough, during depression. But we managed, you know.
So you came from a large Italian family.
Right. You know,
and when were you born?
I was born in 1921.
And tell me a little bit about Webster, Massachusetts. What's it like?
Well, it's a small town, about 14,000 population. Well, we have a nice lake up here where people come here and at the lake. It's an old Indian lake. I can say it right now, but it is Lake Chagagagog, Manchagagog, Chamungagungamog. That's the Indian name. The old saying was the Indians said, you fish on your side, I fish on my side, nobody fish in the middle. That's way back in the when the Indians were here, that was 1600, whatever it was, 1700 and all. This town was incorporated, I guess, early 1800s, I think, I'm not sure. I lived here most of my life, you know.
And what were you doing before the war?
I worked in the lens factory, making eyeglasses, you know, grinding lenses. And the lens factory, you know. I was 16. I went to work when I was 16. And I worked till I was 21, and the war broke out, and I got drafted in 42. And in 42, I met 2 of my buddies here at Fort Devens, and we were hoping to be together, and then we all went different trains, different ways, and to my surprise, about 3 days later, because them days you travel by train, you know, never by plane, everything by train. And stop, and then a couple of days just to go meet to Florida, man. I went to Florida, and we got there, and I am going upstairs to my barracks, and I see a friend of the guy in Fort Devens with my neighbor, Russ McGarry. And we slept side by side for a year and a half, 2 years. You know, same barracks right there, man. It was something. We never thought we'd be together. But the early going was rough. I know I didn't know nothing then. And I don't forget the first day I was in the Army. I mean, I was upstairs, I just fall out. We all fell out, went outside and fell out there. Well, I said, police up the area, you know, police up the area, and I see the guy call me, hey, come here. I said, what do you want? He's about 20 yards away from me. And he says, come here. He says, I said, what do you want? He said, pick up that, you know, with like a cigarette butt or some of that. And I'm laughing. I said, big joke, you know. I said, are you telling me to call away from there and pick up in front of you? I said. And he said, yeah, you ain't going to do it. I said, no, I ain't going to do it, I said. And I went back. My buddy said, what do you want? He said, pick up that butt. He said, you're going to punch him in the nose. I said, well, I know the way you talk to me. I said, the hell with me, he said. You know? So we had our breakfast and machine gun class. We had our first class, and I see this guy walking in, and my buddy said, hey, your buddy there. And he said, yeah, Frank Vegnone here. I said, yeah, right here. He said, the first time he wants to see you. I must have reported me, that son of a gun. I mean, but I said, I'm safe. I'm way 20 yards away. Why should I pay in front of him? But I didn't realize the non-commissioned officer, he was a corporal. I didn't even know what they meant. I didn't know about it. So I sat down, and the first time I said, I never, Strasser, yeah, because the corporal Strasser gave me an order, you didn't obey it. I said, what do you mean I didn't obey it? He said, I was 20 yards away, he couldn't pay in front, why should I pay in front of him? He said, that's an order. I said, I don't care if it's an order, I said. He said, where are you from? I said, Massachusetts. Well, we're Yankee, he said. Well, we'll straighten that out, he said. I said, All right, straightened out. I went back there. He said, go in the kitchen and stay there until the first message, and I told him to report to the kitchen. So I go to the kitchen, I do my work, and I was tired after a while, so I went to my bath, I'm laying down, and I fell asleep. Then I hear a kick in my shoe. I woke up and the message and the first sergeant. He said, what are you doing here? I thought I was tired of resting up. How long you been here? I just come 10, 15 minutes. He said, damn lie, talking to rebel talk, you know, he said, George and something. He said, been over an hour he was gone. You come back to the kitchen and stay there, he said, and you report to me, he said. So I did that. I went there. Come on in the supply room. He said, get a pick and shovel there. Went behind the bar, made a 6x6. He said, start digging. I said, start digging. Start digging, he said. Can't you take orders, he said. It's only been in the army. I said, 2 or 3 days. What dig? Learn to take orders. Every night I dig, and he come out, okay, he said, go back in the kitchen next day for 4 or 5 days. He smoked a cigar, we're about 4 or 5 feet down, he threw the cigar like clay down his jaws. He threw the cigar, he's now buried, he said. And every time they had a dirty detail, they always say, never volunteer when you're in the army. So be falling out like for a roll call, and then be near the guy and go in the kitchen, or another guy to play guard or something like that. And he said, well, I went volunteer. We never volunteered. And I'm trying to hide around. He said, okay, I see if they don't. He said, you just volunteered. I said, never, you volunteered, he said. And every dirty detail I was on, they always called me. When the maneuvers, it was always me. And I was so mad at him. And even when I went overseas after 2 years later, I remember this office, I see him walking by and talking to my first sergeant, my lieutenant. And he says, how's that screw up doing? He said, I wish I had a few more men like him, he said, bring him to me, he said. He was, builds me up. And he said, who is he? I said, I don't know. He said, he remembers you back in the States. You never obeyed orders. I said, I never obeyed orders. I wasn't, first thing I got in the army and they were picking on me. I said, I didn't know about that. He said, they're picking on me. And I got mad, I said, and that was it. But the lieutenant, he commended me. He said, I wish I had more guys like him, he said. And that was it.
So you showed the rebels how to be a rebel.
Yeah, I'm going to say, yeah.
Where in Florida was your basic training?
In Georgia. From here I went to Fort Benning.
Okay.
Fort Benning, then they formed a new division, 10th Army Division. We went to Camp Gordon, still in Georgia. In Columbus, I guess, with Columbus, Georgia. And my basic training was there. And I was there maybe, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years, something like that. No, less than that. 42, I went in November 42 and went overseas and I think it was September of 44, yeah, so about a couple of years I was there, man.
What else do you recall from basic training?
That was it, you know, I made my orders and all that stuff there, and I did what I did, and that was it, you know. I had my, you know, Saturday nights we go out and enjoy ourselves, you know, on the weekend, but both guard duty, everything else, and never forget my best friend there when they pulled all his teeth out and he was mad because they had the wrong guy there, the same name but different name, first initial, and he was so mad and he got so mad at him. He was a good friend of mine. He got wounded in action. I was the guy that saved his life when I was overseas, Leo Amelia. He was from Baltimore. But me and him hung around together. I remember going to town all the time and he was always take his shoes, you know, he's a good-looking guy and make sure everything's all set. And he's always, come on, Frank, let's go to town, he says. And the guys, oh, what do you think you guys are? And Leo would say, the 2 best-looking guys and Barry will go in town, you know, they're just jealous, he said. But we had a lot of fun. I mean, you get to be like a family, you know, you went to the same buddies there, you know, you sleep side by side, you know, you go to town together. You had your own friends, but we had, it was good, it was something different, you know. I really enjoyed it, really, you know. I thought I was something, served my country, you know, I felt good, and I come home a couple of furloughs coming home, you know, and I enjoyed it. Never knew what was coming ahead of me, you know. Once you get overseas, you don't know. You think you know, be a big hero or something like that. But when I was in the States, I really enjoyed it. I mean, we went to town now and then. We had except them, details I was always on, but I was mad, but what could I do? I just took him and that was it, man. I never forget the guy I was with there. He was one guy that picking on, and he said, when we get overseas, he told me the names. He said, knock on, shoot him. He said to make them to get killed in action. So they could word back to the lieutenant, and he transferred this guy to some other outfit. His name was Crozier. I never forget him. I know what happened to him, man. But like I say, it was like one family. They all the same. We all had the same friends and all that stuff there, and we enjoyed it. I remember my best friend. He was there. When you go back and we had these buses going around camp and taking you back to the town, taking you back, they dropped us off.
What's the name of your best friend?
Russ McGarry. He was from my hometown, But he get feeling good, and then we get up to camp. He couldn't walk back to his barracks, so I take him over there and I put the lights on just for a joke, and all the guys are sleeping now. And they get put that damn lights out, put them lights out or something like that. I just laugh, make you, don't do that, Frank, don't do that. Next time we come home again, I do the same thing. Don't do that. And I'll stay right here. I'll walk. He's walking things that I go into his barracks and there something. But we had a lot of fun together, man. And then we went different ways. Then we got transferred after. And I was I was on guard duty, like 1 to 3 o'clock in the morning, and at the motor pool. And I went on guard. It was raining cats and dogs. I'm not going to stay in here, I says, I'm going to see a truck there, open a door, and went in there, got the rain, pouring like hell. All of a sudden, I dozed off, man. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I see a lieutenant tapping the window. He said, what are you doing here? I said, well, it's raining. I figured, get out of the rain. He said, you in combat, you happen like you can get out of the rain? Rain don't mean nothing, he said. He said, get back to your barracks, he said. And I took my name and everything else, And I told my friend that, McGarry, what happened. And 3-4 days later, he does the same thing. And we had a furlough coming up, and I said, they must have forgot about it and stuff. All of a sudden, Saturday morning, we're going to furlough on Monday, and Saturday morning, it's all right, says Vegnone and McGarry report to the first sergeant. So we goes up to him, report to him, and he gives us a sermon saying if he was overseas, your buddy was there, and what would have happened, if they would have got killed, you'd be at fault and stuff there. And he said, I know you got a furlough, he said, but don't ever do that again. So we went to the furlough. We come back. I look on a bulletin board. I'm transferred. That was in the train's headquarters, they call it. I went to the 61st Infantry. And they put McGarry in another battalion, 54th Infantry. So we were departed. I never see him again after that until I went to overseas in Metz, France. I never I met him. He's playing ping pong in a service club there. Didn't see him for months there, and they were playing ping pong. We had a good time together there, but that was it. I was the States and went to New York and boarded the ship. The ship there went overseas, and I never forget I was peeling spud down. They call it the galley, the peeling spud. There were about 10 of us.
You're peeling potatoes.
Peeling potatoes, they call it spud in there. And way down there, you're way below the water, where you're peeling in the kitchen like that. And first, that big rock in a boat. I said, what that? Till we hit, I grabbed my life preserver, put it on, and the guy said, the sailor, he said, I said, we thought we sighted a German sub. We just dropped the depth charge, and it went off into the water, but into the water, but like miles away. It shook everything up there. He said, we're all right, man. And that was it. And that was the only scare we really got.
Do you remember the name of your ship?
Yeah, I got it in I got it over there somewhere.
Wait.
Came right behind the top. I counted, see, look on the counter on the top. Not on the counter there, behind there. There's some paper there.
Just remember, you've got a microphone on.
No, yeah, just in there one. That's all. Just in there. Well, this is when I come back. To be on a Liberty ship. Yeah, that now it's all falling apart, The map, No, I don't know that the Liberty ship coming back. But I didn't know the ship going in there, but we landed in Cherbourg, France, and I landed in Cherbourg. And then we're there for a while, then we started moving out to southern France and all that stuff there. And after a while, they already took Paris there. And I never forget going on the streets in Paris, marching on the tanks, and the girl with the mademoiselle was bringing us carafes of wine, drinking wine. Everybody was happy and all that stuff. getting hugs and everything else. That was the good time. Oh, this is the good. It is good. Drinking champagne, cognac, whatever you had. We really enjoyed it. That was good there. But then you get to fighting there. It's a different story altogether. I mean, you were back and you went to the front lines, and I'll never forget that. When we were back there, and we were already in the front there, and you come back for a while for a rest up. Then I feel we're going to go back to the. All of a sudden, everybody said, "Mount up, put all the lights on the vehicles." Oh, maybe going back to can't be going back to the front. And all of a sudden, I said, "We're going there miles and miles." All of a sudden, everybody lights out. I said, "What the hell, lights out?" They go, "We ain't going to Paris now. We forget about it, man." And we all jumps out, and we're heading. That's when the Battle of the Bulge broke out after that, man. So we're heading for that there. And I said, "What the hell's going on?" I said, then we never knew it. That's when you get, I told you this thing in the last video, I said, when we're every day they're fighting everything else and marching through the woods, and I see this guy with a French tam on who was walking. He said, "What, you looking for Germans?" I said, "Yeah." He's saying it. He said, "Yeah, right up here, so follow me." And I'm ready to go. And he says, "Hey, stay back here." He said, "Wait a while, you come over here." No, follow me, he said. And first, and seconds later, machine gun fire, rifle, everything opens up. I said, "What the hell is going on?" I mean, like, good there behind a tree. I ran by a tree, put up, went behind a tree, I laid behind a tree. I'm trying to, speak to tell my gal, see what's going on or something. And I see the German soldier waiting. He wasn't looking at me, looking at somebody else, I see him sticking his head like talking about the German helmet there, maybe 20, 30 yards away at me. And he aimed for somebody else, he aimed for his, I said, "Next time I get it, pull his head back." And when he went back, put his head, went back front, and I could see him, I had my hand the trigger. I was there, squeeze the trigger, squeeze it, just squeeze the trigger, and I went to shot him right there. And never see him again after that, man. Then that was a squad leader then.
But this is in the Battle of the Bulge?
Just before that's before the Bulge even started. That's when it was going on, see. But then after that, the lieutenant said, "Okay," Sergeant Vegnone said, "Have your men go back one time at a time, man." So we went back and told my man, "Okay, you one at a time." Means I'd be firing my rifle and make sure that the German thing with a lot of guys are near there. And we're retreating right back, going back and forth. All the guys are going back. After my squad got back, I just put another clip in my gun, my rifle. There was 6 bullets to a clip, 5 or 6, I forgot. When I emptied that, big old Garand rifle in it, that's where they got today. After the clip was over, 6 bullets, that's it. You put another clip in there. You always had 5, 6, 7 clips of ammunition in your belt. When I empty it up, I'm starting running in a zigzag, go back to wood there, a bunch of pickies, scratch my neck, all bloody. What the hell? I go back to the
Do you remember what city this is?
No, I know somewhere in France, I don't know where it was.
And this is December of 44?
December, yeah, it was December, But then the lieutenant thought I was hit. I said, "No, I ain't hit." I said, "Just had them scratches on my face, everything else." I put the handkerchief in it and finally stopped everything else like that, man. Then they would tell us what the hell happened. The Germans broke through. They think they're heading for Antwerp. They want to get the seaport of Antwerp, get supplies in. And we got to hold them back. It was right outside of Bastogne. It was 101st Airborne. Part of us was right there, I mean. So I was just, stuck in a line there. So after a while, then the lieutenant said, he showed me the map. He says, "I don't know where we are, I know what's going on. We're friendly territory here, and we're getting enemy fire. What the hell's going on?" He said, "I want to volunteer to go back." And I said, "I'll go back just to get away from that. And I'll go back, man." Didn't know what I was getting into. And then you're going to volunteer. I said, "Yes, I'll go back." I said, "Okay." So I don't know what to tell you. He said, "Show me the map where we are." He said, "Get back and try and get help." But as I'm going back, by myself, the lieutenant says, "Good luck." He says, "I'm walking back." And I'm walking, and I come to a crossroads, and I hear a tank. I can run a tank. So I ran in the woods. I said, "No, see what the hell it is going on." And I see it. Oh, thank God, it's a star, American tank. I said, "American tank." So I'm walking American tank, all of a sudden I see the turret spin around, brrr, machine gun fire, right inside of me. I said, "What the hell?" I wasn't more than maybe 30, 40 yards away from me. I think he was playing with some of that. And I said, what the hell are you doing, trying to scare me, some of that? So I had a dirty white handkerchief and I'm waving a handkerchief. I said, hey, I'm an American. I said, well, you shouldn't have me for. I'm the German. You know, you can talk about a German helmet, I'm the American. I said, well, how do you shouldn't have me? Myself, what the hell do you shouldn't have me for? So I did the second time. I could see it again on the left side of me. Still didn't hit me. I said, something's wrong. What's going on, dude? My still helmet fell off. I had my walnut cap, and I ran to the woods there, zigzag. The tank pulled up and still firing at me. It never even hit me. And I thought, like playing joke in the thing, they're finally going to kill me at the end, but he never had the chance to do it, I guess. All night in the woods until they come back to the. I went to a town all by myself, cold in the wintertime, December, Why comes in this town, I meet I see some American guys walking around. I said, what town? They told me the town. I said, where's your officer in charge?
Do you remember the name of the town?
So-and-so. No, I forget all the town. You know, like when you're on the front, you don't even know what day it is, like the town. You don't know what day, Monday, you don't know what I mean. You just fight so long in the front, then you go back for a rest, then you go back here again. Anyway, you told me the Germans are breaking through. They're making a last plunge to try and get Antwerp and hold it at all costs, and says, and whatever you do, he said, they got a uniform, they're trained to do it, they look just like we do, he said. Whatever you do, make sure that you're talking to an American. Ask them, where did the Yankees locate, or where did the manager play, where bought them what. Just so when any guy was American, I would know that before, because they dress this way, they talk, they got a slight accent, that's all you can know is at them. Because I encountered a couple of guys like that, They were German, they would talk like the American, but you know we're Germans. And we just walked back, we just took and ran around, they tried to fire at us, we got away. You really had to watch them there. The Germans were really smart people, they were experts at that, And then, finally get out of that, and they told us, said, whatever you do, hold the line, we were down. There were very few. I remember the days it was cloudy, it was every night they throw bombs at us, and artillery at us, and I don't know how many days it was, and we're running out of ammunition, no food, cold, and everything else, and you're hoping that a shell would hit you and just kill you right away and get out of it, That's how bad it was, And finally I heard a roar. I said, Germans again. We hit the ground. I look at my shoulder like parachutes. What the hell's that? And like small parachutes coming down. It was food and ammunition for us. An American, The cloud, the sun come out, the planes are flying over, and they would put a stop to them. And that's how we held on for all that time there. That's the name they bound the Bulge. That's before that happened there. But there were times before that, it was really, really, I would never want to go through that again. Never in my life. It was, especially when I got hit there, and two of my buddies were talking about, there was three of us there, and we're saying, after the war, he said, that one guy's from Ohio, one guy's from Indiana, he said, we'll go to your house 1 year, and 1 year we'll have turn, he said, and the guy from Indiana, he said, yeah, my sister wants to meet you. I'm your sister. I don't even know your sister. No, I sent her your picture, he said. She wants to meet you after the war, he said. And she said, you seen your picture, good looking, I want to see you after the war. I said, we'll go to your thing first. Just got through saying that. A second later, 88s are coming in. And so they never get close together. Always try and get apart, because one shot, they always tell us, one shot will get you all. So even if you're talking to some of your best friends, make sure you 10 to 15 yards apart. In case a shell comes in, they won't get the tree, it'll get you at your 1 ear. So we're like trying to talk away like 5 or 10 yards away from each other. Then when the shell, so I ran here, and I just lay down and just stood there and laid down, and all of a sudden a shell hit, picked right up the ground. All that was the trigger in my hand. I said, what the hell is this? I said, I went down, I said, all that bark in the rifle, all my hand here, and I got a chip, a little small scar still there, hit here, and a piece under my armpit. Went through my field jacket, and had a shirt and a heavy sweater, right under here, a big hole, and never even touched me. Another 2 or 3 weeks ago, lower, and they would have clipped my arm right off. After stop, I get up and I said, I couldn't get your name now, I forget the name now. Yeah, you all right? He turned around, his eyes still open, concussion got him. And the other guy looked at him with bloody face, wagged them brows. And his face was all covered with blood. I knew they were both killed, he said. And we're just talking about seeing each other. Another time...
Well, both of them were killed?
Both of them were killed right there. And another time we had a lieutenant. Oh, he was like I'm talking to you. And I never know this, sir, all that stuff there. He was a good guy, one of us. He was from Florida. I can't think of his last name. And remember, before we entered the town, he was saying, all right, all squad leaders come together, when they're talking there, and I was a squad leader. How I made squad leader, because my first battle going way back, I was only a private in my first battle, and barrage, we just got out of the woods, we're marching to a field, and the lieutenant said, all right, he said, take a break, he said, smoke if you want, all this up there. So I'm talking to my buddies and but all of a sudden shells are coming in, the 88s, we hit the ground fast, and it seemed like 10 minutes, I don't know how long it was. Baptist said, okay, move out. And we jumped, I always said, keep ahead, never go back, always go ahead. Because the shells go back, they don't go ahead, see? So I went ahead, and I looked back, and all I could see is bodies laying in it was a snow-covered field, and all you could see is guys screaming, or hauling, guys killed, guys wounded. So the squad I was in, 8, 9, 10 guys, only 2 of us, the squad, come out without getting hit. The rest of the guys are killed or wounded. And the lieutenant says, Vegnone, I'm making you a staff. I said, I don't want to be a staff sergeant. I'm having a hard time taking myself. He said, well, replacements coming in. He said, well, I can't make them a sergeant. And Lee, his name was Lee, said, I'll take it, sir. So he was staff sergeant. He said, Vegnone, you're a buck sergeant, whether you like it or not. I said, all right, I'm a sergeant, That was way before the Bulge and everything else. That was the first battle there. I'm going back to that, Anyway, the squad, we got back there, we come near this town, they were saying, all right, he says, now we're going to ready to attack this town, but having a meeting, he said, you're in the center, you put your men out, put your, the scouts out here and there, and all of a sudden, the 88s are coming in again. And I see the big flat rock sticking out of the ground, big flat rock, maybe 10, 15 yards away. And I was over there, that was the lieutenant and the runner. And him was Doyle Wright from Texas. He was the radio man. They both run there, and I'm turning around to run, and I slipped, and I fell down. And before I could get up, I'm running there. He said, no, it's all here. They're all filled up, he said. He said, go near the tree, he said. You can't, no room here. So I run maybe 10, 20 yards away near a tree. And what happened, after I'm there, after the bride is all over, I looked up, and I swear, I see Doyle Wright, Doyle Wright. He was crawling, and his leg was laying there, and he was still crawling. I'm wiping my eyes. He's crawling, his leg is there, and he's crawling away, I said. And then I looked up, and the lieutenant got killed instantly. And he was badly, he might have died too, I don't know how it happened. But just how many close calls I had. Oh, unbelievable, That's only 2 of them.
So they made it to the place where you wanted to go, and they died. And
right,
you, just by falling down, missed that.
Right, and if I didn't slip, and if I got my feet, I would have beat that first guy there, and I would have been killed right there. And that's one time there. 3 or 4 different times. Another time going up a hill, and it was when we just got by, I see in France, a lot of these big shrubs, in front of this house and all that stuff. I can't think what they call it, they're not shrubs, it's big bushes and all that stuff there. And the lead tank, and I'm walking right by there, and after I passed me 10 or 15 yards, I hear a shot. I look back, the lieutenant got hit right in that, another lieutenant, the lead tank, right, you can see there, killed him instantly. And right up, in the bush, we all went there, we just find the bushes there, must have killed him, I don't know what happened. Anyway, you always attack like early in the morning, and it was foggy, and we're going up to they hold the guy's shoulder in front of you, just to keep track, we're going up. And I lost it, after a while, I lost track of the guy's shoulder in front of me. And I didn't want to pat the other guy behind me, so I just kept walking. Well, I see like a silhouette, I thought it was an American guy. I said, Lee, don't walk so fast, I said. And it was a German. Under the hook, he said, and he threw his rifle down. And I could see the German, he said, he's given up. I go, hand your hook, he said. I got his rifle, and I just smashed his rifle. He wanted to give up. He said, the prisoner wanted to be a prisoner. I said, okay, go back here. We never send guys back with it. You send the guys back with a prisoner, the Germans would kill them both. Kill us and kill their own German soldier. Or do something. That's the way they were. Even the P-38. The only guy that carried a P-38 was the German officer. They ever found you with a P-38, they would kill you right then and there. One guy from not my outfit, some other outfit, he had a P-38 and they shot him right in the mouth. They just killed him right then and there. I had one. My buddy had one. He got it from somewhere. Someone gave it to him. And he didn't want it. He gave it to me. So I said, I'll take it, he said. And I did take it. After a while, this is later on when I got hit. I just hit it in the truck there. Then when I went to the hospital, I had it in my bag there, and somebody stole it on me, you know. It was a souvenir, but they do that stuff there. What are you going to do with him? But and like I say, that's another one. Another one has been the pontoon boats, where they said, no, nobody on the other side. The reconnaissance said, don't have to worry about it. There's nobody on the other side, he said.
Where was this?
Later on, once before you had the town there, and we're going by across the Moselle River, yeah, I remember the Moselle River. And we're crossing that, and before we got on the other side, there's shells are coming in, idiots are coming in. And Lieutenant said, all right, everybody out of the boat and head for shore. And I jumps out, and the water's over me here, and I'm on my right there. I'm trying to walk in the water towards the shore, and I see the Germans up top and firing at everything else. I just ran somehow, and I said, I know it's like a big stump or something on the side. I just headed for there with no protection, but it's the best I could get. And I see the machine gun up there, and I'm shooting over there, and I can see it going around here. So I had one grenade left. I hope the hell it worked under the water else. But it did, because, you ever see a grenade? It's waterproof. Nothing can get in there. I just pulled the pin gun, 1, 2, 3, and just flung it. Just with the head here, and it went off. And they got him right there. In fact, after that was over there, that happened, the lieutenant said, I'm putting you in for a couple of medals. Then I never did get him because he got killed. He never could put me in for it. Not that it was something big, but I'm just saying how things happen. And I said, yes, at least 4 or 5 times I could have killed just like that. But I never was. And all I said to myself, when something good happened, I said, thanks God. That's all I said. And you prayed a lot. When you had it in the foxhole, you could just pray now what happened to you. I thought, I'll be good, God. Make sure I get home. And it made you feel good. That's what brought me through, thinking of that. Oh, so many close calls. It's unbelievable. Even guys after water said, how'd you come out alive? And I tell them stories to get the hell out of here. You went through that, and you sleeping all night in the woods. What do you think we do at night when it gets cold? We don't go in the building and sleep. I can sleep outdoors, sleep in a foxhole. If you ain't go to the bathroom, you do it right in the foxhole. But there you gonna go. You can't go nowhere. It's right there. You're stuck in a hole there. We're so bad, you're hoping you get a direct hit. Just to get there, your life is all over. You don't care. You're sick of suffering. And then the same thing. It's the cold again. The cold. Your mouth, your shoulder, your lips, your mouth. I never changed my socks. I never had the same socks on for weeks at a time. When you went back, that's when I went back for the last time. I said, never come back to myself. And that's the last time I would see comrades. When I got back, Lieutenant said, and when I heard it going another attack, because we're short of men, but everybody was short of men. So the first time, so we're going to attack, we're going to go back to the front tonight. I said, I can't go. I said, I can't walk. I can't take my shoes off, I said.
This is in Battle of the Bulge?
It was around that something. I think it was after that. Yeah, after that. It had to be after that. Because I went to the hospital. I think I went to the hospital, and I even forget when. It had to be late February, March. Because I was in the hospital when Roosevelt passed away. And that was in April. And my birthday was in March, and I was in the hospital then. But so it had to happen like in, late February or something like that. That was after the Bulge. The Bulge battle only lasted about 5 weeks. And they're the most casualties in any battle the United States ever had. We had something like 26,000 casualties, like 12,000 killed in less than 5 weeks, less than a month, about a month time. So it was really, they really caught us off guard when they got us.
And you were in the 10th Armored Division.
Right.
Which battalion?
61st.
61st, and in what company?
A company.
And your highest rank was what?
I was a buck sergeant, and when Lee got killed, I made staff sergeant. And then I never really get paid. I was a buck sergeant. And then when I got busted after the war, I was a private.
We're going to talk about that later. I remember that story.
Right.
So when you're a staff sergeant, what are you doing now? Are you an infantryman? What's your specialty?
I was an infantryman. I was there. You know. I was in charge of 10 men in the squad. You know, a lot of times you hate to tell the guys, what to do because do it yourself. My lieutenant gets so mad. I do things that I said my other guy do. I hate to tell somebody else because many times I said, okay, you go on the left flank, you go over there, be as a scout. He never got back. He get killed or wounded, something like that. And I figured, that was a pick. I couldn't do it. I never forget a good friend of mine. He was it wasn't a good friend. I knew the guy. And the lieutenant asked me, he said, we need another sergeant. Who do you think, Frank? I said, Sergeant Bolden, never forget, a tall, skinny guy, named was Bolden. And he wanted to make an army as a career, talk to me. He said, I like that, I'm going to stay in the army. And Lieutenant asked me, I recommended him. And my buddies got mad because I recommended him to be as a staff, be as a buck sergeant. He was a private, a buck sergeant. And he was glad, he was happy, And would you know, later on, he gets hit. He's sitting in his arm here, just hanging there. And he said, in fact, I put in that paper there, he said, Frank, I'm not going to make it. I said, you'll make it, you'll be all right, you'll make it, he said. And next morning, he was still in the fetal position, he was like frozen. He passed away during the night. He was such a good guy, but that's what happens. You never know when you can talk to him. And the second later, your best buddy is gone, you know what I mean? The guy that Leo Amelia, I never forget that. When the States, when I was with him in the Gomelag, the trails are always together. When Leo got hit in this town, we're going through this town, and he said, Frank, I'm hit. He got hit in the leg here, right there. So I got him, and I went to the building. I brought him to the building right there, close by the building right there. I laid him on the floor, and I looked at his wounds. How was it? Oh, it ain't that bad. I knew it was bad. I had the sulfur sun, they just threw it on the wound, trying to stop the wound. He said, Frank, the Germans are coming. He said, get down the cellar, he said. So I ran down the cellar, and I see all these potatoes like that. I'm trying to hide in there, but to no avail.
This is in France?
So, in France, in Germany, I forget now. So anyway, what did I do? I ran against the wall under the stairs. I got the wall here, and the stairs are coming down here. Like, I heard these two Germans talking upstairs. They're treating my buddy for his wound. And after sometimes, he takes one step down. I got to grab my hand and pull his leg in. That's how close I was to him. He never even looked at me. He just said, 9, next night, talking in German. He said, nobody down here. He went upstairs again. Then Leo said, a few minutes later, Frank, they're gone, he said. I went upstairs and what'd they do? They passed my wound up and they said they wished me luck, he said. And that was it. And after the war, my son, after the war, a couple of years ago, he's how many buddies he said that you were friendly with? I said, yeah, Leo Amelia. So I was in contact with her, and then he called his wife up. She passed away, lost his leg. I knew he'd lose his leg. I said, and she was calling me up. We still correspond. Every veteran there, she sent me a letter. She lives in Florida now. I forget where in Florida. Tampa, Florida. She lives in Tampa now. Everyone said, yeah, we lost Leo. And I was the guy that thank you for saving his life, thank you for saving his life. And every once in a while, she would send me a letter, veteran there, she sent me a card, sent me a letter, and said, I never met him, but she was saying, imagine that 70 years later, not that nobody said, you saved my husband's life. He said, yeah, he lost a leg. She sent me a picture of him with one leg off, the prosthetic leg, dancing the dance floor, Then the other guy, Gomelag, he passed away because I remember he got hit after the war, and he got paralyzed, and with his frame he had mass. He was there after the war, but when I got back, he was gone. Then I never got there. I never wrote to him. We said, we're going to do it. But everybody was so happy after the war, nobody cared. We all went our own way, and that was it. And we lost a lot of guys that were there. Good friends of yours. One guy's a Torsky guy from Chicopee. I told him I'd see his wife, and he got killed. He replacement. He had 2 kids. He comes to the front line with a 45. Man, give him a 40. That's how bad doing the Bulge. And he was drafted. He had 2 kids and drafted in Chicopee. And if it happened to me, he said, and something did happen, he got hit right in the groin. And I went there, I checked him out, I tried to look at him, and I knew it was bad. I said, oh, you'll be all right. He don't leave me. He has the other medics that come. I said, medics, take care of this guy. And I just kept on going. I don't know if he ever made it or not. I don't even know if he never did make it. He'd be a miracle if he ever come out of it alive. I don't know. But you meet guys like your brothers, you know, you're in the service, you sleep together, you do it. Then they get killed just like that, and you never see them again all that stuff there.
Was that tough to command other men?
What's that?
Was it tough to command other men and tell them to go do things?
Oh yeah, I mean for me, I never got that. I hate to tell I got to do something, and I said no. When I tell him or some of that, I try to distribute, you know, the best I could. Like, well, he was on guard last time. This time you go out there, some of that. But they understood me. They were good like that. But that lieutenant was so good. I never forget. Every time I get a new guy, he said, I'm pushing a Dago squad. I mean Italian. But he said, if anybody can bring it back alive, he can. I was more like lucky because I never got hit. I was there so long, I never get hit. And in fact, he was a replacement. Our lieutenant, he could transfer some of the first one he had. I came and he was his last name now. I think it was half Jewish and half something else, but he was a hell of a nice guy. And he got killed there, and all my best ones got killed, but a lot of guys I knew I didn't even know what happened to them. Then after the war, like I say,
did you ever have to write letters to them, to their families?
No, I never did after the war. I never knew the address, never knew nothing like that stuff there. I remember they would come out and say, we do, but then, you know, it was different then, you forgot. Then I come home, I said, I didn't know they, I knew them good, but I didn't know where they lived and all that, you know. So 2-3 years ago, my son, Ronald, you know, he's one of your best buddies. I said, yeah, it's a Leo Million Golag. And he found out about it. Went on the computer and something, and he found out where he lived. I said, yeah, from Baltimore. He said, yeah, that's it, Leo Million. He said, your best friend. I said, yeah, he come out alive. He said he lost one leg, he said, and he passed away in 86, 87, something like that, man. I wish I knew him like in 1944, 45 when I got out of service, 46. But they never contacted me, you know. We lost track. We all talked, but then after a while we never knew where we other lived, you know. And that was it, you know.
And so you got injured that one time from that 88 round where you got shrapnel in your elbow.
Hand, yeah. Then after that I got my feet.
So in that battle of the Bulge, you tell me about that. What happened there?
The battle of the Bulge, like I said, it was.
So your feet got really bad.
When you got orders there that take no prisoners, you know, it was so bad. Then we couldn't. No food, you know, getting low on ammunition, going low on food, and after a while, I don't know how many days it was, but then the planes come over when they dropped us ammunition and stuff like that. Then after that, we went in some other battle, and I forget what it was there. Then, but you never know what day it was. It was Thursday, Friday, or Sundays. You know what? You stay in the front so long, then you come back for a while. Then they give you like a hot meal, and then after to take a shot at a big truck with a big canvas over it, like 2 trucks. They set it up and they have a big barrel of hot water, some of that. And what you do, you take all your clothes off, you throw in a pile, and you walk in the shower. And maybe like 2 minutes, I get a homemade shower, hot water, just to wash up fast and soap and clean up stuff. And I remember thinking I walking through the board, I could see the snow under the ground. I have new, but you're in the other room. What size shirt you wear? Give me a shirt. Put all new clothes on, underwear, shirt, everything. But you know, steel helmet, some of that way we had. Everything, socks, everything fresh, you know, and that was it. And then you can always know when you're in combat. You usually go in combat in the morning. They always give you a fresh meal. All right, eat all you want. And a lot of guys couldn't eat. And they said, Frank, how can you eat? I said, who knows my next meal is going to come? But you might get killed. I said, you don't think of that. I said, you go, you eat, you fill your belly up. In fact, when I come back, one time I ate a dozen of donuts. Would you believe it? A dozen of plain donuts. I got from the Daily Mirror. He took my name and everything else. I put in the big name in your paper for you. He said, where you from? I said, Massachusetts. He said, well, I said, I put it in the Daily Mirror. But I don't know if he did. I ate a dozen of plain donuts, one after another. I always ate good. They said, ain't you afraid getting killed? I said, we're all scared, but what are you going to do? You can't open a God will take care, and that's it. When never comes up, comes up. You know what's going to happen. You do your best, and that's it. And I just try and be that way there. If something good, I said, thanks God, and then that was it. And you carried on to the next day. Something happened again, I say the same thing. And I was lucky to get out just with my bad feet, that was it.
What happened to your legs?
My feet were torn. They said I got back just in time. Another 2 or 3 days to cut my feet up and see out back to the States. They were so bad. I slept in a room with just here with a blanket up and keep my feet exposed.
So they were frostbite.
Really severe frostbite. They kept rubbing in there. They kept it. I tell you, one time we went to the movies on camp, and I'm shivering, shaking every house, and my buddy's, what's the matter? I says, you're shaking. I said, I know, I don't know what was wrong. I go back to my room, the nurse come over, he said, what's the matter? I says, I don't know, I'm shaking. I better call a doctor. You got malaria. Malaria? I said, I would never, you get that in a hot climate, don't you? You never in Japan nowhere? I said, no. I said, from here to the States, I said, even the States, I was never in a warm climate. I said, they didn't know what it was. They put double pneumonia in my shot. I got my shot. Double pneumonia. That's what they thought I had, double pneumonia. And that's what he left it. But I'll never forget coming back. I said, then I'm never going to go back in combat again, so I'm just hoping to get my time. The day I get back to my outfit, the war ended, May 6th. And we're in Austria, right next to the tanks couldn't move, right there. And they were coming down the mountain, droves of men, old men and kids, coming out. Because they were just coming off the mountain. There was and it was nice. And there was Garmisch-Partenkirchen. In fact, they had the Olympics there. And we used to go on these cable cars, go up there, and ski and everybody wanted to do there. It was cold up there and come down there, it was like nice and warm. It was something that, it was cool, you ever, a guy like me seeing stuff like that, Afterward, you say stuff, you've seen the whole, not the world, but if you were a civilian life, you never would have seen all that, never would have went through all that. But go to Paris and go to Berlin, Germany, and the Remagen Bridge there, and the Russians say, come on, the Germans say, come on. They wanted to keep going. We stopped and shot the Remagen Bridge in Berlin. The Russians said, no, we'll take care of him. And Eisenhower said, no, save a lot of American lives. But the Germans didn't want the Russians again. But the Germans told me, the German woman, do you think the German Nazis are bad? The Ruskies, they said, no good. I said, they're our friend. Well, friend today, tomorrow, boom. He always said that. Ruskies no good, communists no good.
So the 10th Armored Division lands in Cherbourg, where you did, and then you moved through France. You made it to Belgium and Bastogne. Yeah. And then you circled back to Austria, right?
Right.
And that's where you ended the war in Austria?
Yeah, that's what it was. But right out, I was actually Austria and Italy, one was the same. And Garmisch-Partenkirchen, right there, the big city right there. Because our tanks couldn't go on the mountain, so we stayed there for about a week. That's before they told me when I got there. That's we were stopped right there. We could move our tanks to the mountain, so we stopped right there. And that's when the war ended. And they were there for a while. And then I had a brother get killed in the service, so my offer was coming back to the States for furlough, then go to Japan. And I had a brother get killed, it's like a transfer to the 9th Division, occupational division, Ingolstadt, Germany. And that's why I went to Ingolstadt.
How long were you there?
Well, it had to be like 2 or 3 months, because see, when the war was all over, the guy had the most points. They were going by points. So many months of points, so mental combat, that's how they went by. So the guy that had the most points going first. And I never forget, I had 86 points. And the guys over 100 points were going back first. And when it come to 86, it was time to go back. So when I went back to, I never forget, I went back to Ingolstadt, went back to Camp Lucky Strike, outside in Marseille, France, there, Lucky Strike. And the big ship strike in New York. So we delayed there for about a month. I went to business. I had my own business after that. Buying stuff from the guys and taking them in. And then we get sitting in the streets in Paris and smoking my cigar and drinking cognac.
So you became an entrepreneur.
Huh?
You became an entrepreneur.
Yeah. But I said it was. I really enjoyed life. And when I went through it, I'm gonna have a good time. And drinking cognac, smoking my cigar, and having one song. Shine my shoes there, a friend, one song, something I recall. You shine my shoes, everybody else, and the kids are always saying that, how they say, cigarettes for Papa, zig zig Mama, and chocolate for me, for the kid. That's what they were saying that. But the soldier wanted sex, they would say that, you know. And they were, yeah. And they were cigarettes for Papa, zig zig Mama, and chocolate for the kid, you know. I mean that we said this hard chocolate, you know. Even on combat, we're going through town, you go to your town, the French kids are, and we break a piece of chocolate, give them a piece of chocolate, and they used to love that, you know, that's up there. But the Germans would tell them we were killers, you know. We're going to torture everything else. That's why they would hate to give up, like the French and the other Germans. They said, no, do nothing to us. I said, no. And it was like prisoners of war. We just captured that. Eastern Germans said that's all propaganda. Joseph Goebbels, he was a big propaganda. He said the Americans are no good. I mean, even during the war, he had these big speakers in there and in the trees. Give up, American soldiers, give up. He said, come on our side, he said, nice and warm here. He said, your wives and your girlfriends are having a good time and you're here fighting for what? You're in the cold. Come on over here, drop your arms, go over here. We thought we'd shoot the trees or something like that. If they ever had them than that. But there were masses of that. Oh, there was propaganda. Oh. We captured some of the guys that we were going to shoot them. One guy almost did shoot him. The prisoner of war, we told him. The very some gave up. When they gave up, we tried to interrogate them. But they weren't talking. In fact, one guy had to go to the bathroom. And my friend said, take him in the back, have him go in the bathroom. He looked at me, he's going to the bathroom there, and he's looking at me, he says, what you looking at? I'm looking at you Nazi. He said, you American swine, American pig, he says. He called me all kinds of names. I'm ready to shoot him. Lieutenant said, Vegnone, don't you touch him. Because we don't get too many prisoners of war, we're trying to interrogate him or something like that, you know.
Was he an officer?
No, he was a regular, you know, a prisoner. He was a private, maybe a corporal or something. But he wanted to go in the back, and he's called me all kinds of names, like American pig, everybody else, you know. Called American swine, he said. American swine, he said, pooh, and he spit like on the ground or something. Oh, them SS troops, they were mean, they were mean. But a lot of guys wanted to surrender a lot of times, and don't you ever think of surrendering. Have you ever surrendered what they'll do? They'll kill you, I said. Think they're going to take you back to the prison? They'll shoot you. No, being a prisoner of war, that's why a lot of guys said, don't even be a prisoner of war, because a lot of guys got out alive, but there were a lot, you got the SS troops there. They were the diehard Germans. They would just shoot you and look at you. They didn't care. It's the way they were.
Did you get any medals as a result of your service?
Yeah, I got the bronze. I got my medals. I finally came in. I'll show them to you after my buddy sent off for them. I got them all over there. I got the Bronze Star. That was it. But I said doing 2 medals. The lieutenants, I never did get them. Not that I was worried about them, but...
You got the Purple Heart, right?
I got 2 purples, yeah. Purple Heart.
And did you ever get the French Legion of Honor?
Yeah, I got that. That's like the Medal of Honor from the French. That's the highest award the French can give. They call it the Medal of Honor, but it's the French Medal of Honor.
And then, so the war ends and you're on occupation duty, and then eventually you go home, right?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, after I say it was after the ship strike was over, I left there December 1st. Like I say, that Liberty ship took us 20 days to come home as I tried to patch it up, you know. Some guy on the ship was writing it on, just shows you that. December 1 to it took us 20 days to get back in the States. But just show what happened there. They showed a map, how many miles you gained one day. It was, the storm used to hit. We were only a Liberty ship. And you swear it's going to sink. You know, it never did.
What was the name of your Liberty ship?
I can't even think of the name. It's probably in there somewhere. I don't know. How I see it there. invasion or something like that. No, I must have lost a piece that threw it away. I don't say it here. They try, like, when you go back to the States, don't talk to people, tell them what you did, because they'll never believe you. And you can't blame them. Like if you didn't go through it, if you told me that, I'd say, what are you shitting? You're here, he said, well, how come you didn't get killed? So you don't say nothing. They ask you, you talk about it. But they don't ask you, you forget about it.
So you didn't talk about your experiences until recently?
Right, that's it. In fact, when I went to the Boston to get my, I was getting like 10% of my fee in 1946. That was $9.75 for 10%. $9.75 that was getting. That was 1946. And about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, my feet were getting worse. So I went to Boston, the VA, and I told them my feet are cold. I said, I can't sleep at night, they're painful, everything else, they swell, they turn black and blue, and I can't walk, everything else. And he said, tell me some of your stories. He said, the psychiatrist I'm talking to. And I'm laughing. He says, as if I told you something, you wouldn't believe me. He said, tell me what you actually go through in the civilian life. And if I told you I dream of this during a war, you'd laugh at me. After all these years you're dreaming today? He said, no. That's embedded in your mind. You'll never forget them, he said. You'll never forget them. You can maybe 10, 15, 20 years from now it'll come back to you. It'll go away. But you never forget that, he said. He's I've been a psychiatrist for 40-some years, and I can tell if you're still lying or talking to me now. You know, you're trying to get more money, so you're talking to them. They talk to the right people. And they, in fact, now you get your blood pressure here, they were doing here. And from here down, there's no feeling at all. I can't even walk. And the older you get, the worse it's going to get. And it's true. Every day in your life, it gets worse. And I can see it coming now. It is getting worse. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even like a month ago, my feet were bending out today. And imagine what they'd be a month. I don't think I'd be walking that a month from today. I'd be in a wheelchair. There's nothing you can do about it. He says, whatever they call it, your nerves or something. The nerves are gone, that's what it is. There's no nerves. I can put my head, I can feel pain down there, push it in here. It's all nerve. Once your nerves, there's nothing worse than the nerve pain. That's the worst you can get. When your nerves get painful, you're throbbing back and forth, and day and night I suffer. What am I going to do? And they can't help me. And he said, we'll give it 100%, he said, but as you get older, it's going to get worse. He said, nothing we can do about it. The doctor said, sorry about it, and that's it. They sent me home, and that was it. Now I get 100%, service connected.
When was the first time you talked about your service with somebody?
When I first come out, I was saying that, telling guys one or two. The majority of guys said, and you're here, and what you went through, you couldn't live through that. And you'd be surprised, what your life can go through, and when it's a matter of life and death, what your human body can endure, and before you went through it. If I told you like 10 years, I could never do that. I would die in 2 or 3 days. Yet you live week after week in the woods. Never shaved, never washed up, never did nothing. An animal couldn't even be able to do that. And here you are, you're living through that. You have to, want to live with some of that, do the best you can. You don't want to, shoot yourself. So there was guys again going to bananas, Oh yeah, there was guys I can't stand no longer. He says, and he said, and they're shaking. They're don't stay here, and they run, and Jim just shoot them. They kill them right there. Yeah. One time we took a town there. His name was Gomo. He drove for the captain in the Jeep. And we're taking this town. We had to stop in town. They're on this side of the town. We're on this side. They were on the other side of town. And we had for the night. We get in the building, and we sleep in there. We happened to go in the bar room, and we're sleeping right there. And my buddy, he was a heavy drinker, Gomo. He drank and schnapps and whatever he had, beer, everything else. The French guy, whoever owned it. And he's getting cocked up. I don't drink, you're going to get cocked. No, I can handle it. First we all fall asleep, and first I hear a shot here. Goma, like he's talking, he said, come on, you Nazi bastards. He's in the street. Come on out here, show your faces. Come on out here. He said, I'll show what Americans are made of. Come out here, he said. He's hauling on the street. He said, at night, first a brrr, Next morning, the machine gun him. He was in the street, you know. The Germans
dead?
killed him. The Germans killed him right there. Because he was getting drunk, and that was it.
When was the first time you talked to your kids about your experiences during the war?
Why? I very don't talk to. I never ask them. They ask me, I tell them. They don't say nothing. I don't say nothing. I never.
Why is that? Why did you never volunteer to talk about it?
I don't know. I figured they probably wouldn't believe me and say, yeah, like everybody else. And they didn't want to hear that. And then you're trying to forget it like that, you know. In fact, that started coming out a couple of years ago when I got the Legion of Honor medal there. That's when I started talking to different people, but different organizations. I just wasn't that my type of person. I joined the American Legion, disabled veterans and all that. But I never took part in none of that. I figured that was behind me. I didn't care like that. Somebody asked me a question, talk about like where I was, I tell them, but otherwise I would never talk about it. I mean, they didn't want to hear that, you know. I don't know. Just didn't say it. You know, I was proud. I'm glad I went through what I did. I mean, but they asked me questions. I tell them. They answered. I'd answer. If they didn't, I didn't. You know, you start to forget a lot of things. But I still dream about the war now and then. You believe it? I'll say I heard a guy's name. No, not now. Wait. Something. Once I hit my wife. That's what some German grabbed me years ago, and I just swung my hand and I smacked him in the shoulder somewhere. But as a rule, I don't. Now you're starting to get far further apart now. You know, you're thinking about that now. Your brain don't work like it used to work. You know what I mean? You don't think of them things like that. Don't bother you.
So you heard the phrase "war is hell"? Have you heard that phrase before?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that from your experience?
All right, that's right.
From what you saw?
And you never know when, you know, people can tell you can tell people what they went through, but they can say, I know how you feel, but they really don't. They think they know how you feel. But you actually got to go through the experience. You're in a different category to know what the hell it's like. You can tell somebody else that went through the same thing and they didn't understand. But the telling people I never know when that didn't know it, they say, well, no, you take it, no. They say, yeah, I know, I can imagine, but that was it. But, I mean, it's hard to believe. It's really, you know, I say like cold winters here, like in January, and you're outdoors, you say how cold. How can you sleep through all that? And you do, you sleep through it. And you ain't got no warm things on. All you got is a pair of pants, heavy underwear, and shoes and socks, and a jacket and a sweater. I never wanted an overcoat, because I figured if I ever get hit, I couldn't maneuver. I never wore an overcoat in battle, never. I always a long field jacket, and that was it. And make sure I had ammunition, you know, hand grenades and rifle and enough bullets to carry me through, and that was it. But otherwise, but no, as you get older, you realize, you know, I'm glad I went through all that stuff there, that they can talk about it. But I don't bring it up unless somebody asks me questions. I don't talk about it. They don't say nothing. No.
Was it difficult to see a lot of your friends get hurt and killed?
Oh yeah, I mean, the best lieutenant, I almost cried when he went. I mean, he was so good to me and all that stuff there. I mean, I kept saying, well, why have all my buddies going down? And I said, God must be good to me. He ain't taking me, you know. And he must have a reason, and that was it, you know.
Do you felt that you suffered any trauma as a result of the war?
Not really. I mean, even guys in war were saying, how come it don't bother you? And you went through a lot of some of that. I don't know. Maybe I could take it for a while there, but you know, I was never know much trauma after that. I mean, I wasn't. Although they put in my when I get my, the money out, they said the 80% my feet, 10% my wound, and 10% my trauma. You know, what post-traumatic stress disorder they call it, you know. And they put that on my sheet there. Because they can only give you so much at a certain injury, so much. In fact, when I was getting 10%, and I was up to 20%, my feet, that's the most we can give you. We're sorry, we can't, your category, all we can give you. And yet, today I'm getting 100%. Now it's all of a sudden 80% now. They changed the rules. I don't know why. But they must have figured, there's no hope to my feet. The lieutenant even said when they said that the doctor and I said, we're going to give it 100%. He said, but the lieutenant said, "Bad, we're taking it." They said, "There's no freeing at all." He said, "As you get older, they're going to get worse. They can't get better. And then you can't put new vein, new whatever you want to put in your leg. You can't do it. You know, they were so far gone that even when I get hit, they said, we beat it this time, but when I first got hit, they said, but another 2 or 3 days, you'd lost both feet. But when you get older, a Jewish doctor said, when you get older, what do you mean get older? When you get retired, he said, 65, 70 years old, he said, to come back there. I said, And he said, yes. Because the meat there, whatever it is, the arteries or something, it's just about hanging in, like shred. And as you get older, then you got to get stronger, you got to get older, then you get weaker and weaker, and your legs are going to get numb, they get cold and else, and you got to live with it. That's all you can do, is live with it, and that's it. And the ropes are getting better. I never walk again. I'm just good in. I walk sideways, if I ever stand still, I just fall down, man.
Well, how old are you?
94.
Yeah, you're doing good, though.
I know.
You're doing good.
I can't do nothing. I look good, but inside you don't feel like, you don't feel good. But, yeah, people say that, I wish I looked like you in 94. Yeah, but looking and feeling two different things, You may, you look good, but you don't, like an old car, you age and nothing you can do about it. That's it, But how many people live to be 94 years old? I mean, I'm the last guy in Webster, my hometown, my buddies, I'm the last one. I'm the oldest Italian guy in Webster right now, at my age,
Mm-hmm.
But all my guys play basketball and baseball, they're all gone, Some died recently, a long time ago.
When you came back from the war, did you have any type of nervousness or jitters from loud sounds or firecrackers?
At first, when they were like 4th of July, they have they shoot up the firecrackers, and then then I catch myself, and then.
Did you hit the ground?
No, I wasn't that bad, no. But I think, just like the wars the olden days, Especially when they had them, when you get caught in the woods when artillery comes in, the 88s, and all the box and the trees just flying around the wood and all. And they can dig out steel, but they can't dig out the wood, they'd always say that. And all you do is lay on the ground and, you hope I don't get you. And then they stopped. And they even had these big railroad guns, they call them. They have big guns in the railroad cars. They back them up, the Germans, and just shoot them off maybe 4 or 5 miles in the air. And when they go off, heaven knows where they can kill anybody, I had going through a convoy once, maybe 8 or 10 trucks, and 3 or 4 trucks behind my head. We had half tracks, direct hit. And all you could see is everything flying through the air. And the 3rd or 4th half track behind us, maybe about 50, 80, 100 yards behind you, just shoved direct hit and killed them all, But I never smoked, and the guys just smoked, they're shaking and smoking. How come you're nervous, Frank? I just have a cigarette. I don't smoke, I said. After a while, I smoked cigars and I was it. I never had a cigarette in my life. I never had a cigarette.
Did you get the shakes while in the service?
I get the what?
The shakes? Did you mentioned how you saw others?
No, not really. A little bit, not really. I don't know why it didn't affect me. I went through a lot of guys, but a lot of guys did, a lot of guys didn't. Depends on the person I get. But to me, I think I was a kid, like you say, bang bang, you shoot like playing cowboys and Indians. And in fact, one time I was standing up there, and a lieutenant would say, "Get down, artillery." I said, that's outgoing artillery. You can hear whistling over your head. I said, "Yeah, that's over our head." Yeah, one thing didn't land shot close by you, he said. And one time it didn't land shot. I go, And the lieutenant said, you never learn your lesson, they said. You think that you know everything, they're going over your head, Because I can listen to them. Then you sway that like the 20 or 30 feet above your head, you can hear them whistling. Over your head, like the artillery, the Germans shooting, they were going over our head. And I could almost tell when American artillery and German artillery, you could almost tell what they were. You could hear the German artillery whistle, you couldn't hear the American artillery. And I knew what was in there. My friend said, you get down when you hear that. But I was lucky, that I can say. I was lucky to come out alive.
Do you ever have feelings of guilt about losing friends or the guys that you commanded?
No, I don't get guilty, you know. And, yeah, like I say, it didn't affect me much as a lot of people, you know. But I just come home and I just carried my life on, that was it. And then I went, you know, then I got married after that, 4 years I take him on the service. I got married and that was it, you know.
Was there anything from the war that affected you when you came home?
No, it only bothered me my feet. It's all that bothers me now is my feet, you know.
So you had some dreams, though.
Well, yeah, dream, but again, like at first I did, it would get like maybe a week or 2 weeks or a month. But the older you get, the older you live there, they get more like in between. I remember the last time I had it, maybe, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago or something like that. Then you might get like a couple of days in a row, then you wouldn't dream about them at all, you forget about them. But now seeing you getting older, you don't even think about them. You know,
were they bad dreams?
Not really, no. You know, you're thinking you're in combat, and you open your eyes, oh, I'm home. You know, you thought you're in battle, you know, and here you are home, you know.
Is there anything you'd like to add that I haven't asked you today?
No, as I say, I'm glad I served my country, you know, as I'm there. Guys are volunteered after, like in 1942, I remember was playing basketball in 1941, and that's when the Jazz bombed Pearl Harbor, and all my buddies were enlisted, going to Marines, going to Worcester, you know, I was joining up. And I told Mother, I'm going to go to me and my brother. No, don't you go. That's war. You know what war is? Mother said, could speak good English. No. You stay home. And they're going to kill me. Well, when they take you, but don't volunteer, don't go in there. I mean, and that was in 1941, and about a year later, 1942, yeah. 11 months later, and I got drafted. And that's when I went in there. My brother got drafted a year before me, like in January, and I got drafted in. He was like 2 years older than I was. And he only had one furlough. He was in New York, and he used to bum rides home, bum rides back. And he said, I'm going overseas. I don't want to see you again. You know, he went back then, he went to Africa, North Africa, and he went to Italy, and then he killed in Italy. That's where he got killed. I knew he killed when I went overseas, you know. He got killed in January of '44. And I went overseas, and I knew what I was going into. My mother was saying, oh, I lost one son, who's the other son? I don't even think about it, don't even wonder about that, man. But I figured, hey, God's got your number. If he wants to call it, he calls it. If you don't, that's it. And then you can do it to stop it, and then you can do it to help it. You just take one day at a time and go through life, and that's it. And I was lucky to come back, and that was it, you know. I'm glad we did it all that, and went through it all that, and lived to tell it, but that's it.
Is there anything you would like to tell future generations?
Future generations?
Anything you'd like to say to them?
Well, I don't think that today's population would run to the war came like the way we did, you know, and not me, but my buddies. I think the war started tomorrow. I think they all would try and be no, I'd say everybody, but today, everything has changed today, not like it used to be. Today, the kids, you know, they want their good times, and they ain't like it used to be. We're more like, you know, now they're starting to get back to veterans. Before, they never cared like they used to. But in the last few years, trying to get back, you know. But after a while, so you're a veteran, so what? Everybody's a veteran, you know, you think nothing of it. But now they're trying to take care of the veterans, you know, saying, oh, they're more observant, more they say they shake your hand, like I had that big thing for me at Memorial Beach here, when they give me that honor there. Guys never met, they're shaking my hand, boy, they shake it. It's an honor to shake your hand. I didn't even know who they were. And they said, they salute me, said, you know, you salute me like that. He said, I said, you haven't done what you went through. He said, I'm glad I met you. I never knew you before, but now I'm glad I met you. And they were, you know, glad to see. They're more like the veterans today than they were like years ago. After the war, so the war was over, so you only had a lot of guys who went to the war, and they come back, you know. And that's it. And you forget about it, you know. That span there where nobody bothered. I think it's the last 8 or 10 or 15 years that the vets are starting to come, they're trying to have more specialty and more occasion, because they would now realize that World War II vets are getting old and they're trying to, you know, do more from their kin, having like parades and get-togethers, and nowadays, like now these restaurants, they're giving free lunch or free coffee to the veterans. Years ago, they never did that. They never cared. Like now, they think that be more like you know, they're talking to the veterans. But that life goes by too fast. I mean, I'm telling you, you know. See, all this happened like a few years ago. And here it is, 70 years ago, 71 years ago. You think like it happened like 4 or 5 years ago. Where'd all these years ago, you say to yourself? But you only go around once, and that's it. I mean, make the best of it. That's all you can do. You know?
That's excellent advice.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an honor to meet you and to speak with you again.
I'm here, and I did the best I can. A lot of things I forget, you know. When you get old, you forget a lot of things, you know.
You did great.
A lot of things you don't want to think of it. I know when you lose some of your best buddies there, and you like the brothers, you know, you're like your family there. You talk and you drink with them else, and boom, they're gone. Eh? A lot of guys after war say, "How come that happened to you? Look, so and so was gone." I said, "What do I mean? I'm lucky I come back alive." Well, you couldn't. You probably wasn't in the States. You didn't go nowhere. I said, I went places. Remember when I come out of the army, I went Fort Devens, and they would tell me, anybody get something wrong with you, you know, go to see the American Red Cross and tell them what you went through, and all, maybe you get some kind of a compensation. And took a whole year, and I finally got my back pay. 1 year, I think it was $100-some the whole year. And I think to myself, I thought it was 25 cents an hour, you know. And when I was 16 years old, I went in the army $50 a month, and now I'm 100% disability. I wish I could enjoy it more, and the money, you know, you get good monthly compensation, but I wish I was like 10, 20 years younger when I could enjoy it. I can't. Or somebody else would enjoy it. But everybody has a different life, you know. Everybody has go through, and whatever that number is that comes up, then you go, and that's it. Like MacArthur said, old soldiers fade away. They just fade away, I mean. But he had the right idea, MacArthur. Take the chinks too, he says. And then the chinks too, we want to go through. Patton the same way. I see Patton one time at a distance, but I didn't see him. I see his pearl-handled guns, and the guy, he had 2 pearl-handled guns, 45. And the guy told me, I see it, the sun's shining. Oh, that's Patton up there. Get out of here. Yeah, he got 2 pearl-handled guns. And one thing about Patton, he went with his troops. When everybody slowed down, he went there and found what's going on. How come you slowed down? Sometimes we had our tanks, we make a break, we go through. Say from here, we go to the next town, and Germans will surround us. Because we had enough gas to keep us going for the tanks, you know. And Patton wanted to make a name for himself, you know. He wanted to go there every time. They'd say, yeah, Patton's guts, and how would it go? Our fighting in Patton's guts. He gets all our guts and Patton's glory. Patton won a lot of that, but Patton was a real soldier in general, and that was it. I mean, he wanted to be in command of an army there, but I mean, he was like, when he slapped that guy in the face in Italy there, the guy was, you know, he couldn't help it, he was fault. When the guy goes berserk, I don't blame him. I don't say he's yellow, he's not yellow. He said that's his mind, his brain, he can't help it. And Patton slapped his face, you yellow dog. He said, your buddies are getting killed and you're in the hospital, you're afraid. He was shaking me out. He couldn't help it. Everybody's different. Some guys can take it, some guys can't take it. You don't knock them down for that. I knock it down a desert. If you desert, you don't want to go to the army. But not when a person gets in the sees action and he goes, the combat fatigue, you know, You can't help it. That's the way it is. That his body can't take it. We go back, we had guys like that, you know. I try to calm guys down. He said, "How come? Don't bother you." I said, "Well, no, I do the best I can. That's all I can do," he says. "But you know you're going to fight. You know you get so tomorrow. That's the idea. Live today and forget about tomorrow," I said. I said, "Nothing you can do. The different thing you can do, but just carry on. Do the best you can. What happens, happens. And that's it. Forget about it. Do your best. Do what you can do, and that's it. You can take it if you can't take it." Geez, I had guys crying on my shoulder every house, you know. Tell them that I gotta go back. Tell them don't be all right. Don't worry about it. I said, "You'll be all right," or something like that. I mean, you try and help the guys that couldn't help themselves, and that's it. Well, that's it. Life goes on, right?
Sure it does.